welcome back to Jurassic Park Minute. Jurassic Park Minute is the fan podcast that chronicles and overanalyzes the classic 1993 film Jurassic Park minute by minute. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brady.
And today we're here to bring you minute number 10 of Jurassic Park. Hey, Brady, we're 2 weeks in to Jurassic Park Minute, starting our third week here.
2 weeks in, and it seems like everybody's really digging it.
Yeah, I really appreciate the positive feedback that we've gotten on the show so far. And if you have critical feedback, please give it to us as well. If we're doing something that we could be doing better, I'd like to hear about it. So
there you go.
Yeah, but people have been very, very kind, very receptive to the show so far. And, we talked to some people about doing some guest spots, and I think those are going to be coming later on down the line. Probably not the second half of the film, but in a few weeks, I think we'll have some people on. Of course, we're doing this at the same time we're doing Ghostbusters Minute.
That's
and because
right.
of that, we kind of have a compressed time schedule to do all these things. But once it opens up and we're just doing Jurassic Park Minute, we're going to have some really great quality guests on here. But yeah, man, you having fun so far?
I'm having a blast. I mean,
Yeah.
like I've said numerous times, Jurassic Park's like, that first big movie that I had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to go over it minute by minute is just like such a treat. So, and I hope our listeners and our other Movies by Minutes buddies out there are getting something out of what we're doing. I really hope that we're following through on it.
Yeah, I hope so as well, because I'd hate to take on the burden of doing something like Jurassic Park Minute on our shoulders and then not delivering in the full quality of its potential, because I think we really got something special here. But hey, you ready to go ahead and get into minute number 10?
Let's do it.
Great. In the previous minute, we saw Alan Grant finish explaining how raptors hunt and kill their prey. We left off with Ellie and Grant discussing having kids, much to Grant's dismay. At minute number 10, Grant tells Ellie that kids smell. She responds that they don't smell. As they continue to playfully disagree, the sound of a helicopter can be heard in the distance. At 10 minutes 4 seconds, we cut to a shot of a helicopter coming in to land. At 10 minutes 7 seconds, we cut to a shot of the Velociraptor skeleton, which was recently unearthed, being blasted with sand, which has been stirred up by the landing chopper. At 10 minutes 12 seconds, Grant and Ellie charge down the hill, yelling for the workers to cover up the dig site. Workers scramble to throw their shirts and jackets over the skeleton so it isn't lost in the earth again. At 10 minutes 21 seconds, Grant runs to the cockpit to tell the pilot to cut the engine. The pilot, instead of complying, points towards the main office trailer. At 10 minutes 28 seconds, Grant picks up on what the pilot is trying to tell him, and he runs towards the main trailer. At 10 minutes 38 seconds, Grant busts into the trailer to see who is behind this madness. Grant sees a man rummaging through his refrigerator. He asks him what the hell he thinks he's doing in the trailer. The man stands up, turns around, and fires a champagne cork at Dr. Grant. Grant ducks and stands back up to tell him they were saving that bottle for a special occasion. The man tells Grant that they were saving it for today. He guarantees it. The man is short and elderly and dressed in a white seersucker suit. At 10 minutes 54 seconds, Grant asks who in God's name does he think he is. Grant sticks his finger in the man's face. The man responds by shaking Grant's finger like an outstretched hand and introduces himself as John Hammond. Grant has a look of shock on his face. At 10 minutes 59 seconds, Hammond lets go of Grant's finger and blows the dust off of his hand. He tells Grant that he can tell that his $50,000 a year is well spent and walks away to find glasses for the champagne. And thus ends minute number 10 of Jurassic Park. So we get the introduction of John Hammond here.
That's right.
He has just been kind of a referenced character so far. Gennaro talked about or dropped his name to Rostagno in the previous couple of minutes, talking about the lawsuit they're coming under fire for. But we haven't actually seen John Hammond yet.
That's right, and we don't really know what kind of a person he is. And of course, when we meet him, I mean, he's just adorable.
Yeah.
He's this bubbly little
This
guy.
whimsical little billionaire.
Yeah, far different from the character in the book.
Yes.
The character in the book was a real piece of work.
Great departure.
Yeah. He was just an ass and very mean to everybody and was only in this for the financial gain. And really just kind of not a well-written character. It wasn't really well thought out, and it was very, predictable. Whereas I think the character in the movie is so... There's a lot of layers to him. He's very...
He has more depth to him and
more
more
depth.
faults,
It's
I
a much
think,
more
too.
dynamic portrayal. Yeah. And, he presents himself as this, bubbly, cute little guy and everything like that but he's working people. And you can tell he's working people. And in the Richard Attenborough's performance... it just really brings all those things out with such subtlety. It's great. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the actor Richard Attenborough and just how accomplished this guy is. He was acting for decades. His foray into film includes everything from a performance in The Great Escape. He directed A Bridge Too Far. He won an Academy Award for directing Gandhi, which he actually beat out Steven Spielberg for directing E.T. that year. He also directed Chaplin, starring Robert Downey Jr. in the early 90s. Here we go. So, Richard Samuel Attenborough, who is also Baron Attenborough.
Wow.
Yeah, was an English actor and film director and film producer, entrepreneur, and politician. He was the president of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. So this guy was pretty accomplished in so many different realms. He was born on August 29th, 1923, and passed away not too terribly long ago, August 24th of 2014. So he's got a hell of a career that spans decades. And his brother, you might
David
recognize,
Attenborough, right?
David Attenborough, the voice of just, I don't know, every sort of like nature special you can think of.
And then he had another brother, John Attenborough, who was a financial advisor.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was actually kind of a big wig in the auto industry in England.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go, man. That family, there's a lot of accomplishments there. So apparently there was another actor considered for the part of John Hammond, and this might have been this might have been a direction that one of the other rumored directors was gonna go, and that was Sean Connery. We also had Charlton Heston in James Cameron's idea. And so you really get a really dynamic performance with a lot of depth and a lot of layers with Richard Attenborough's John Hammond.
Yeah, I think that scene when they're talking about the flea circus later in the movie is kind of the definitive moment of this character's progress in the story. It's you don't really get the full scope of it until Ellie's sitting down telling him to his face that everything is just the flea circus over and over again. But
yeah.
Right now it is. It's like imaginary fun times with investors' money. He's just screwing around with.
Let's talk a little bit more about that character's arc, and I think where he doesn't really have that much of an arc when they sort of broke the idea for the original ending. All he wants is for his little babies, his dinosaurs, to be kept safe and preserved and everything like this. And he has an affection for the raptors. Well, at the end of the movie, Grant, Ellie, and the kids are cornered by the raptors in the rotunda, the visitor center. All of a sudden, one of them is blown away with a shotgun, and you look up and there's Hammond with a shotgun. Well, it wasn't quite that dynamic, that rousing of an ending, and two, an old man with a shotgun is just kind of, it sounds better it's better on paper, I think. And so that would have been like a little arc for his character, but it's still
Right.
not that crucial a thing in the overall movie. So I'm glad they didn't go that direction.
The real plight for his character here is that he doesn't really concern himself with other safety. He just wants to have a fun, good time.
Exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly. So let's see. Hang on. So, again, with all this depth and these layers I'm talking about with this character, it's actually kind of terrifying when you look at this scene in a certain way and just how bubbly and fun he is, and inviting them to come to the island, just come check it out for the weekend, a little getaway. And if I could get y'all's endorsement, that'd be great. He's not telling them it's an endorsement because one of my employees was ripped apart by one of these creatures.
He's like, oh, the lawyer's the pebble in my shoe.
Yeah, and
not,
then just
it's a problem that I've created.
Yeah, steers from there by saying like, I like you, the pair of you, the both of you. And just building them up and everything. It shows what a brilliant guy he is, what a shrewd businessman he is, but also a sociopath. But, as long as he's aware of it, as you said, we see later in that flea circus scene. So Hammond is very much like Walt Disney in the sense that he was going about starting this business, or starting this theme park by kind of going around certain institutions.
Rules, yeah.
Yeah, so he was doing his land acquisition by leasing Isla Nublar from the Costa Rican government,
Right.
by doing it through the Hammond Foundation, a business that he started for the sole purpose of not having to do it under the guise of something that was very
Maybe not get unions involved, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not paying the full amount of taxes. Yeah.
So Walt Disney was buying up all the land in Florida through different dummy corporations like
Steamboat Realty,
Steamboat,
and stuff like
Tomahawk
that. Yeah.
Industries, stuff like that. Because if the landowners knew that it was Walt Disney with Disney Productions, everything, they'd be like, "Whoa, I'm not selling these acres for 40 cents an acre. I'm going to sell them for $1,000 an acre." And all this. So he was able to buy it up through those dummy corporations. Well, Hammond is kind of doing all of this through this Hammond Foundation, which he's presenting as something that is very educational and fundamental, which it kind of is. But anyway, with all of that aside, whenever Grant is running to the trailer from the helicopter, something happens that's kind of reminiscent of Chief Brody in Jaws. Spielberg was always doing little things to make Brody feel awkward and out of place, which it kind of took away the idea that he was the action, he was the hero and he was the suave guy, and we knew that he was going to prevail and everything. So Grant, when he's running by, he accidentally knocks a pair of pants off a clothesline. Mm-hmm. And that's always sort of reminded me of little things that Brody would do. I think there's a scene in Jaws where they're walking into the big courtroom to talk. When Quint finally comes around, Brody hits his head on some little sign or something like that. In Jaws 2, there's a moment where he's going down a hallway and hits his head on this lamp that he clearly runs into every day. So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But but whenever Grant runs into the trailer, there's a fly swatter hanging on the wall that's actually a stick with like a sandal on the end of it.
Huh,
yeah, I'd never
that's
seen
funny.
that before.
Yeah.
And then behind him, later on in the scene, is some drawings on the wall of dinosaurs. Well, that is actually the Jurassic Park concept art by Mark Crash McCreary.
wow, really?
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And when Hammond says to him, I'm glad to finally meet you in person, Dr. Grant, it implies that, like, he's had his eye on Grant specifically.
Knows who he is.
Yes, and, we also find out briefly in a minute that he's been funding this dig, but Grant has never met him.
Right.
To show just like what a, like, I don't know, private person he is. And so one of the last notes I have is that the champagne they're drinking is Moet champagne.
Yeah.
So
My wife likes Moet. It's not bad. It's
good
not so
stuff.
expensive. Yeah,
I don't
it's
really
fine.
drink that much.
I like all champagne. I've never had a champagne I couldn't drink.
There you go.
My name used to be Kyle Champagne Crane. That was one I gave myself. There's one moment I like where Grant goes over to the helicopter and is telling the guy to cut the engine. He's like, cut it off, cut it off. And the guy's pointing. And Grant goes, I can't hear you. So he just points harder. Like pointing harder is pointing louder. Like it's that way. That's where he is. So
That's pretty good.
No, I like the framing of the shot whenever he first busts into the trailer to see John Hammond. He turns around and fires off the cork at him. It's a classic Spielberg framing of kind of like you got a character in one corner and there's a reveal, slowly turns around. But there's a weird cut there too. Then it cuts to Grant standing again from the side, and that bothers the hell out of me.
It is kind of strange, and it's one of those things that Jurassic Park doesn't always have the niftiest editing. And that's kind of an example.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to go real deep with trivia here. The helicopter pilot is named Tom Mischler. And he does helicopter work in different movies.
Oh, really?
One of
So
them
he's
is,
a-
Swordfish is like the other one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, that's all I've got for this minute.
Yeah, that's all I've got too, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today for Jurassic Park Minute. We'll be back tomorrow with minute number 11. And, if you want to check out our other show, that's Ghostbusters Minute. That's coming to an end in just a couple of weeks. So if you like Ghostbusters, there's a whole, I think as the time this show drops, we're like on minute number 85. So there's 84 more shows and a couple of bonus ones out there for you to tune into. So, all right, folks. Well, I'm Kyle.
I'm Brady.
And until next time, hold on to your butts, clever girl.
Jurassic Park Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the podcast, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can contact us at JurassicParkMinute@gmail.com and visit us online at JurassicParkMinute.com, Facebook.com/JurassicParkMinute, and Twitter.com/JurassicMinute.